Revenge films.
My name is Kevin. I'm in my second year of being a working adult, and I'm just an average full-time office employee. I was known around my company for having a very serious personality, and recently, I was getting a lot of compliments from my bosses, and they were trusting me with bigger projects. I liked my job, but every single day was really busy with work until night. But one day, out of nowhere, I received an invitation for a high school reunion. I hadn't seen my high school classmates since our high school graduation, and I thought it would be nice to see familiar faces again. So without thinking much about it, I decided to RSVP that I'd be attending. And then, on the day of the high school graduation, I was really looking forward to being reunited with my friends for the first time in years. And so, I was really excited as I flew over to the venue for the reunion. However, when I arrived there, for some reason, I saw Gerald there, who was 1 year older than us in high school. In the past, I had some really bitter memories with Gerald, so the moment I noticed that he was there, my mood immediately went down. Gerald and I were both part of the soccer team when we were attending high school together. However, he was the type to always pick on those younger than him, and to relieve his own stress, he was the type to be violent towards others in the shadows when nobody was looking. He was physically, emotionally, and verbally abusive.
Hey Kevin, go buy me some cigarettes.
What? I don't want to go buy cigarettes! Plus, if the teachers find me, then I'm gonna get into a lot of trouble!
You're my junior and I'm the senior. Are you going to go against me? Who do you think you are?
Ah! Please stop! Please let me! That hurts!
Shut up! This is what you get for going against me! And I'm going to make sure that all of your friends get the same painful treatment as well. If you don't want that, then you better do as I say!
Gerald was always particularly violent towards me, and he would stand over me writhing in pain and laugh. But I couldn't say anything, because...
You better not say anything to the teachers. If you do, then I'm gonna beat up you and all of your friends again. You hear me?
Until Gerald graduated from high school, for all 3 years, I had a terrible time and was always afraid. If possible, I never wanted to see him ever again in my life. However, apparently, one of my classmates who actually got along with Gerald had invited him to our reunion, and unfortunately, I was stuck having to be reunited with him. I wasn't the only one who had been bullied by Gerald in high school. A number of my other classmates had as well, and they all looked upset to see him too. As everyone had started drinking, and things were starting to become more of a party, I started to overhear Gerald speaking in a loud voice and bragging about himself.
Well, guess what? I got a job at a major company thanks to my parents' connections, so I have an easy life while getting a really high salary. That means I'm part of the winning team in life.
Oh, really, Gerald? That's amazing! I'm so jealous!
I bet you are. When you reach my level, you don't have any trouble with women either. It really is the best life.
Gerald was obviously speaking loudly so that everybody around him could hear, but I was listening while trying to avoid eye contact. However, out of the corner of my eye, I suddenly saw him get up and he started walking towards me. I had a really bad feeling, so I tried to look even further away, but then Gerald came and sat in the seat directly next to me and looked at me as he was grinning. We were all adults already, so I thought that he had grown up as well and wouldn't do anything problematic. However, that hope was in vain, and Gerald hadn't changed at all.
Hey Kevin, long time no see! What are you doing these days?
I'm just a normal employee at a company.
I bet that means you're a lonely little worker in some small company anyway, right? Oh, I'm out of cigarettes. You better go run to get me some.
Gerald hadn't changed at all and thought he could treat me like this, which was tiring to me. And I knew that the last thing I wanted to do was to become this guy's slave. So I said, please, go and buy them yourself.
Excuse me? What did you just say to me? Who do you think I am?
I'm not trying to say anything at all, but please, go and buy your own things for yourself. By yourself.
Are you kidding me? Since when do you think it's okay for you to talk to me like that? Get up! You better come over here!
I very quickly rejected Gerald's request, but then he quickly got angry. And on the spot, he punched me in the face twice and then kicked me in the head. Because of that, he broke the skin next to my eye, and I was bleeding from my head. all of the classmates around me started to panic, and there was a huge commotion. It was no longer a reunion party, but instead, I was sent directly to the hospital. I was left with an injury, so I needed stitches. Even though I didn't do anything at all, I was suddenly punched and kicked, and on top of that, I was left with an injury and stitches on my head. Of course, there's no way that I could just forgive him for that, and I knew then and there that I wasn't just going to let this slide by. Because I was furious, in order to collect the medical fees, as well as a settlement fee for what he did to me, I decided to go and speak to the police about it, and I filed an official police report. My classmates that were at the reunion were also worried about me, and they all helped me to look up Gerald's address, as well as his workplace, and they helped me gather the information and turn that into the police as well. Back in high school, I was so scared of Gerald that no matter what he did to me, all I could do was to quietly do as he told me to. But now that I was an adult and had all kinds of experiences, no matter what Gerald did to me now, I had no intention of just sitting by and staying silent about it. It was almost as if time had stopped and Gerald hadn't grown up at all. He was the exact same bully that he was in high school, but if I just left him to his own devices like this, I knew that there would only be more victims. And so, that's why I also realized that there was a need for me to make sure that justice was served. However, I don't know how Gerald found out or who told him, but one day when I finished work and I walked out of the office, standing outside of the front door and waiting for me was none other than Gerald. When he saw me, he was glaring at me, and as if to make it clear that he was not happy with me, he spat at my feet. When I thought about what he did to me back at the reunion and that I needed stitches, I didn't know what Gerald might do to me now, so just in case, I quickly pulled out my cell phone and I hit the voice recording button before I placed it back into my pocket. Gerald then stood up and started walking towards me, so I put my arms up to get ready for a fight, when suddenly, he grabbed me by the arm. "What are you doing?" "You understand, don't you? You better not file a police report." "Too late. I already did." As soon as I said that, Gerald visibly started to panic. "Why would you do that? Who do you think you are, getting carried away like that? You don't care what happens to the people around you? I'm gonna find everybody you care about!" Threats like that only work while you're still in high school. And if you get arrested by the police, then there's nothing you can do, is there? "The police? Do you think I'm scared of the police? I'm serious! I'm going to destroy all the people around you and stall them into the ground! And you're okay with that, aren't you?" By the way, I'm recording all of this with my cell phone, so I'm gonna go straight to the police now and turn it into them. "Recording? Stop that right now! Give me that phone! Give it to me!" Gerald was furious, and just as I expected, he started throwing hands at me again. "Where's your phone? Do you want to get hurt again? You want to bleed again?" "Do you not understand? If you were to do that, it's only going to put you at even more of a disadvantage." "Whatever, I don't care! Give me your phone right now!" As he grabbed me, Gerald and I got into a fist fight on the spot, and Gerald was yelling out loud the whole time, but then bystanders had started gathering, and it became a bit of a scene. Right at that time, by coincidence, my boss from my company came by, and he called the police immediately for me. The police came running, and not long after that, Gerald was arrested and charged for assault. Now that he had a criminal record, Gerald was fired from the company that he got into from his parents' connections. His father was furious, and he disowned Gerald as well. Even though he was bragging about his great lifestyle, he was instantly unemployed. Because he always had a bad habit of spending too much money, he pretty much had nothing in his savings, and after paying the settlement fee and medical expenses to me, he was no longer able to live. So he had to give up his apartment in a luxury high-rise building and move into a tiny run-down apartment. After that, Gerald continued to harass me. I received multiple phone calls and messages from him, all threatening me and trying to bully me once again. So without hesitation, I went straight back to the police and filed another report. Because he had assaulted me twice already, the police immediately went to give Gerald a stern warning and told him that if he ever comes near me again, there will be more severe consequences. I'm sure Gerald doesn't want to be arrested anymore, so after that day, I no longer received any phone calls or messages from him. And then, a few years later, I ended up being reunited with Gerald in the most unexpected way possible. My serious work ethic was highly recognized at work, and eventually, I was promoted to a director title in the company. I now had a team under me, and so my life had become even busier than before. And then one day, one of the managers from our subsidiary company and one of their lowly employees came to formally greet me. "It's wonderful to see you, Mr. Kevin. Thank you for your business. Today, I brought one of our new hires to meet you."
Nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to serving you.
Wait a minute. Gerald? What are you doing here? The new employee that the manager of our subsidiary company brought to me was none other than Gerald. By coincidence, Gerald must have gotten a job at a subsidiary company of our large company, and as soon as he saw my face, he started to get flustered and shake. I found out that when he was fired from his previous company, Gerald really struggled to find a job. He was repeatedly taking out loans to survive, and right now, in order to pay back that debt, he's desperately working multiple jobs around the clock. Oh, do you know each other? I guess you could say that.
I'm terribly sorry for what I did to you back then, and the trouble that I caused.
You know, I still have a scar from the injury you gave me that day. See? Look.
I'm so sorry.
You idiot! What the hell did you do? Well, I'm sure you can ask him all about it when you get back to your office. But I do hope you are honest about it, Gerald.
Come on, give me a break!
What was that?
Nothing at all, sir!
After that, Gerald was stuck having to bow down to me, and he could barely lift his head to me or even make eye contact, because I knew just how terrible Gerald had been acting until then, especially to those that he deemed to be below him. I made sure to contact the manager from the subsidiary company and tell them to do routine checkups on Gerald to make sure that he wasn't harassing any of his junior colleagues, because I definitely want to avoid anybody having to go through what I did under him. After that, as a director of the parent company, I also kept a close eye on Gerald, and so he was stuck always having to watch his back while he was hanging by a thread to keep his job. How the tables have turned.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.